I'll start with Ringo. I was curious as to why he was dropping so much as of late because middle of 2022 football season, a lot of people had him number one. Saw a lot of like jersey swaps with Ringo being on it, coming to the Steelers. This needs to be our CB1.
Yeah.
And doing some research on him, I could kind of see why, and I think you hit the nail on the head. He just looks a little stiff out there, but he has all the physical tools. So I'm wondering, is it one of those things that can you develop hips like that? I feel like it's one of those things where you just naturally have it or you don't.
I would say, you either have it or you don't. The guys that
you
have,
look at the Christian Gonzalez is
he has.
Rob said, he was like, he's so smooth out there. I don't see the same with Ringo. But he's got those physical traits. He can press people at the line.
Think about the play that Rob referenced when he was up here, the one that we all saw on the highlight tape when he played against Colorado. He's flipping inside, flips back outside, and catches the pick and then runs it back. I don't think Kelee Ringo has that in his repertoire, bro. I don't think he's going to develop that. The way that Kelee survives on the outside, to me, you have to even more so be buttoned up with your fundamentals, and you get him in the right scheme. You can't have him in a scheme where it's heavy man-to-man. I think heavy man-to-man, he's going to fall into a lot of issues. Even when you're matching him up against a number 2 receiver, I think about who's our number 2 receiver right now. You're either talking Deontay Johnson or George Pickens. Either one of those guys are gonna have him, with some issues. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. You're not putting him on a Jamar Chase. I think those guys can give him some issues. If you're talking true man-to-man for 4 quarters, that's some of the stuff when you're talking about like them hips and being out there. Like, you really got to be able to do that if you're going to play in a man-to-man scheme. He could play zone, though, because he doesn't have to be able to be as fluid with those hips. It's more so big vision, route reading, understanding the concepts. I think he can do that because of his size and the technique that he plays with currently. But the man-to-man portion, I think, is going to be a challenge for him.
Yeah, because I think he's still a good ball player. That's why
I
really got real
good,
intrigued whenever you're like, I think you move him to safety.
Yeah, because to me, I would move him to safety because I think that he will be a high-end cover safety that is physical as heck, that already has good size. And his hips at safety would be elite versus his hips at outside corner, because you're not facing those type of receivers. You're facing tight ends. You're facing big body receivers when they try to get that matchup at the 3 spot. You can handle that. He can do all of that. He can play the run. Like, I like all of that. You would have to see on a play in and play out basis, is he physical enough to like be in that box like a safety? But to me, I like him more so there because now I don't have to have him trying to be an overachiever with tight hips and maybe questionable top end speed. I look at it like when you think of how Charles Woodson aged out at the end of it, right? Put him at safety. It's like, bro, he still can cover, be an elite player back here. That's that stuff where I think of Ringo. I'm just like, I think that he could transition to that and be fine. But obviously for a kid like him coming out, you're going to want to see if you can do it on the outside. And trust me, man, even with the example I gave with Aaron Williams, he started out on the outside as well. But after the season and a half, it was like, bro, like, you're good out there, but you're high end in here. You get paid nicely in here. You're almost just a guy, you know what I mean, on the outside. When I think of Kelee in terms of him transition to the NFL level, that's some of my questions with him. That's all.
Yeah, because he could probably get away with stuff with his physicality, but that's only going to last so long, especially if you have, like you said, the opposing team and they're able to block a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's going to have to either start grabbing, doing some penalties, and compared to some of these other dudes, too, he let up like 500-something yards receiving last year, and that's in Georgia's defense.
Bro, when the ball did not come out on time, he could become a victim at times, bro. Like I said, watching what Ohio State was doing, and it wasn't just Marvin Harrison either. Like, he had some action, but any of them dudes, when he was forced to cover for an extended amount of time, he struggled. Shoot, you go to the opener versus Oregon. Similar concept. When he was forced to cover, and it didn't happen a lot. Oregon, I felt bad for Oregon, bro. They just couldn't win up front. If they could have protected up front, I think it gets interesting because of how the receivers were getting some separation. But the problem literally is he had 3 seconds and that ball had to come out. The 1 or 2 times where it didn't, they got gashed. And he was one of the victims of it. But you talking about once every 3 or 4 games where a team could really protect like that. So that's why he was viewed as highly as he was during the season. Even me, before I watched him game in and game out, I was a lot higher on him. But when I actually watched him, I'm like, bro, this is not that. And also, when we talked about the safety as well, remember we talked about my goodness, is it Chris Smith?
George's, yeah.
Yeah, when we talked about him as well, it was like I didn't feel as strong with that one, but it was still some similarities of, bro, when you're playing behind this D line, that ball has to come out. So viewing you in coverage is different. When I look at them corners we talked about, PZ Jr., Gonzalez, and Witherspoon, that ball ain't coming out right now. They got to run down the yard and really like make a play on it. It's a different level of what I'm asking. Whereas with Ringo, we don't know, can he really make them type of plays and hold up out there, because he wasn't given a lot of those opportunities, man.
There was a lot of good stuff with Christopher Smith. I didn't think there was as many hiccups, but what he's not being talked about as being a first-round prospect.
So it's just different, yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel like a team's going to get enamored with Ringo because of the physical stuff.
He got a lot of tools, though, bro. The size, it shows like he looks like a bully at times out there.
Yeah. But like he looks like a football player. Like he looks like he'd still be a good player.
He does,
so maybe
bro.
the switch to safety could do him good if that takes place.
Yeah, but he definitely, he I like him a lot, though, bro. I do.
Cam Smith, I was thinking a little J.C. Horn light.
Yeah, I can see that.
Plays with that aggression, with the histrionics.
I'm glad you called it light. When you watch him in
the uniform,
light,
he's literally, 20 pounds lighter, probably an inch or two shorter.
But
has that physicality of just like he's gonna go up and hit you. He's gonna try to like truck stick you.
Yeah.
I feel like he could be a big like hit or miss guy, a little bit because of that. But also, I feel like he does try to get really physical at like the line of scrimmage and stuff, like you were talking about. So combine that with the histrionics and like how aggressive he is, and he's showing his personality out there.
No, he is though. He definitely is.
Like he could be a guy, if he's playing awesome, like you as a fan, you're loving him. But if he's getting burnt, you're like, oh, this guy again. This like an Eli Apple almost.
Yeah. No,
I could. Yeah. So I don't know what his path is. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be an elite corner, like you said. Yeah. But he could be like your CB2, and he could do a really damn good job of that, probably. Yeah. And then the other dude, I like the last dude a lot, Clark Phillips III.
Bro, he's productive as heck,
I think he's smooth. The only problem is really that size. Yeah. But he's got that dog in him. That's what I really like.
Like he's not afraid to, like, that's the thing that I enjoy when I watched him versus Jordan Addison. The reason he matched up with Jordan Addison so well is because they're built the same. They're, a little bit smaller, more quicker type of guy, so he could match up with Jordan. Now, Jordan still was able to give him some issues, stretching some of the downfield deep ball stuff, but it wasn't because he was running away. It was just Jordan putting together some dope routes and really putting some detail on some of his routes that ultimately created that separation. But that's more so a compliment to Jordan Addison than necessarily a knock on Clark Phillips. I just think that Jordan just showed that, hey, I am worth a first-round pick, because even versus a guy like this, I can still create some separation when I got to. And he did do that. And there was some times, too, where I felt like Clark kind of got away with some contact down the yard, where at the NFL level, they're going to flag that. Collegiate, you can get away with it. So with Clark, though, man, he definitely has that dog in him. He's not afraid to compete with anybody, man. Like, I like his game. I do. The big question is just the size. Yeah.
I feel like he could be a high-end slot in the league.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Get him in like the third round or something.
100%. Yep.
He develops in a year or two. Really good slot. And like you brought up, the blitzing, that's part of the slot too. If you as a defensive coordinator are willing to utilize that, because obviously we did with a Mike Hilton here. Sometimes do it with like a Millette too. But yeah, I liked his game. I wonder how much teams are going to view him as an outside guy, or try to use that versatility, or if they're just going to say, hey, go to the slot. This is going to be you for us.
The other player that came out, was it last year, that was similar? Not necessarily into the type of play, but just that question mark. Do you take this type of play in the first round? Asante Samuel Jr. Bro.
Yeah, I was thinking him too, but he ended up going, third round,
third
right?
round. But he was the one for me where it was very similar.
Because he played outside at Florida State.
Yes, outside, very productive, but just undersized for outside. That's my only thing with Clark. I don't want to take it early because he's undersized, and I think that he is a bona fide slot. Even how he blitzes, I'm like, yo, I like this dude in that role. But I still think he's capable. If you need to bump him out there, he can. But I don't think he lives on the outside of this level.
Yeah, if you need him for a play or two.
All right.
To throw him outside,
can I
whatever.
Can I get out of a stadium, like that vibe? But I don't think we want him being the guy full time for us on the outside.
He could be a guy that if we do this whole Jalen Ramsey thing and we don't bring back Cam Sutton, that we would draft in the third round. It's like, okay, you're the slot. We got Jalen Ramsey and Levi Wallace on the outside.
Yes, and we feel good about it.
I would feel good about that.
And I'm going to have him still compete with Mylett and Norwood, because I still think Mylett physicality is going to help him run game-wise, but when it's time to cover, when it's time for obvious pass situations, this is the guy. Yeah, 100%. I like that. Yeah.